Today I'm going to talk to you about Midland University. A little history about Midland to start off. Luther Junior College was founded in Wahoo in 1962. Midland College was actually found in Atkinson, Kansas on September 15, 1887. They actually got their name from being kind of the center point, the middle of the U.S. at that time, so they thought Midland College would be a good name. Midland then moved to Fremont, Nebraska in 1919 to the previous location of Fremont Normal School and Business College. Midland merged then with Luther Junior College in 1962 and was named Midland Lutheran College. On October 20th of 2010, Midland Lutheran College changed its name to Midland University. Again, Midland is located in Fremont, Nebraska. It is a private liberal arts college that is affiliated with the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. There are roughly 1,000 students, and Midland really prides itself on being a close-knit community. Roughly 60% of their students live on campus. There is a 10-to-1 student to faculty ratio and an average class size of 18. They really pride themselves on the students having full access to professors, and professors know them by their name. In regards to academics, right now Midland University has 45 majors available to students. They are really known for their programs within education, business, nursing and medical sciences, and human performance. Midland University's mission is to inspire people to learn and lead in the world with purpose. They also have a statement of core institutional values that really strive for the foundation of their identity as a community. Those 5 values are faith, quality, respect, stewardship, and learning. In regards to their vision, President Benjamin Sass has very high goals for Midland University. He would like to grow their student population to 1,800 students. He knows that to ensure long-term stability, Midland needs to grow. That also doesn't just affect the student number, but also the facilities that they would be able to provide with that to serve the population. The community in Fremont, Nebraska has been very supportive over the past 3.5 to 5 years when Midland Lutheran College and Midland University struggled financially and realistically almost had the same instance happen that it did to their sister university or sister college of Dana. Recently, Midland has acquired the Dana College campus in Blair, Nebraska that actually closed a few years ago. Before this acquisition, Midland was though looking at various satellite campuses or a second campus to provide more students get to a different location that would be maybe more accessible. They looked in Omaha, Nebraska, but they did not want to be turn into a commuter college, and they also did not want to compete with the population that went to UNO. Their goal, though, with this acquisition and with their vision to grow is to attract students who still feel more comfortable in a small community. With this acquisition of the campus in Blair, they are going to start campaigning for the fundraising aspect of revamping Dana's previous campus. They're not going to kind of bring that campaign into Fremont. They are trying to focus that campaign with Blair and the alumni of Dana College. They hope to offer unique academic programs at the Dana College campus, but also have some overlap within the 2 programs, but obviously there will be a few highlighted differences that the Blair campus may have that the Fremont campus does not. Again, they're in the beginning stages of this, but with the growth numbers that Midland has seen over the past few years, President Sass believes that this is absolutely doable and within good measurable reach. Some of the challenges Midland faces is obviously being a private institution and the competition among other local private schools. So when a student is looking at Midland, a lot of the times they're also looking at Hastings College, Concordia, Nebraska Wesleyan, Doane. All of those colleges are very close, close together and are roughly going to get kind of the same feel on each campus. Another challenge is the rising tuition of Midland University. Currently, tuition alone is $26,746. That does not include room and board. So again, tuition alone is $27,000 for a full-time student plus room and board. So you're looking at easily probably close to $30,000 a year to attend Midland University. I will state that 98% of their students receive some sort of financial aid, whether that is through the FAFSA in the government or through scholarships. Some of the scholarships, they are trying to implement first year scholarships, so scholarships that will only last for that first year that students are there. After that, or at the beginning when they attend Midland, they can also look at different academic scholarships that include Anderson Leader, Presidential Scholarship, Board of Directors scholarships, and an honors scholarship. Among that, there's also talent-based scholarships with the athletics department and also the performing and fine arts scholarship and grant money as well. In regards to the growth, I would say Midland has to be very cautious on how quick they grow and be careful that they can still accommodate the growth that they have seen over the past few years. Sorry about that. And to make sure that within all of these changes that the programs that they're offering or say that they're going to be offering would happen, because obviously the public eye, you can either damage your reputation or uphold a strong reputation. An example on why I bring this up is when I was doing research on Midland, there was a couple press releases that talked about this bridge program, which is basically, as we know, it starts students off the summer before their freshman year, and it allows them to kind of get comfortable with campus, start taking 1 or 2 or 3 classes, and then have those classes go towards their degree. So essentially, they're kind of getting a head start. They're meeting those people, they're on campus, they're, have a smaller class section. Midland had talked about doing this, but besides those 2 press releases, I couldn't find any information, any marketing materials on this. So again, I say this knowing that if you're going to promise stuff or you're going to start highlighting these types of programs to get students to come to your university, we also need to make sure that we're upholding those standards as well. I think the Bridge program would serve many students at Midland and would be a great asset to their program. But again, I could be completely off balance in stating that, I couldn't find anything. They could be offering it this summer and just don't have a lot of marketing materials out there, and they just wanted to pilot it this summer. Again, I could be wrong about that, but I couldn't find a whole lot of information past the few press releases where it was name dropped. So now moving on to changes. So retention and enrollment growth are going to be kind of the 2 hot topics that I'm going to talk to you about just right off of the bat. So one of the things that Midland has done really well is improving its enrollment growth, especially within the state of Nebraska. The Nebraska high schools have actually graduated less students than they have in the previous years before 2010. So the competition on getting those in-state students has been pretty challenging. In 2010, Midland had seen a substantial growth in seeing 208 students starting within that year of 2010. That included 130 freshmen and 78 transfer students. From that year to the next year, in 2011, Midland actually saw a growth rate of 76% in new enrollment. This is also, going back to kind of revamping Midland's identity, which I'm going to talk about here in a minute, but also the Dana College's campus closed around that time. So Midland did acquire 321 of Dana's students, and again, that could have a big impact on enrollment. But in order to sustain that enrollment, this past year in 2012 was the largest class that they have seen since 1883. They had received a 32% increase over the 2011 enrollment. So they, this past year, had 484 in new enrollment for that year. So 364 were true freshmen, and 120 of them were transfer students. So again, they believe that this is in response to kind of a whole gamut of things, in response to the 4-year graduation guarantee, which I will talk about in a little bit, the changes within advising models, again, which is my next bullet point. They've also adjusted class schedules to make sure that students are being able to be accommodated around their requirements that are necessary to graduate. And then they also have streamlined degree programs, so essentially setting up that 4-year graduation plan and having it sequential so that it, again, is guaranteed that if a student comes on and starts right away or has that major declared by their sophomore year, that they are graduating in that 4 years. Over the 3 years, so starting in 2010, they have seen the growth percent of 85%, which to me is pretty substantial. They also have 25 varsity sports. Recently, they have just founded the hockey team at Midland University, so that is a new change that they're adding in addition to some others. They also have a new performing arts program, many new campus clubs, and then also for alumni of the college and also students that are in the business college, they have also started a new MBA program. So now let's talk about the Student-Centered Advising Initiative. Basically, before this initiative, students would seek out their faculty advisors, and that would be who their advisor was once they declared their major. Basically, what they moved to is this initiative wanted to involve faculty and staff that are going to help students succeed from the start of enrollment all the way through graduation. They built a new advising center, which they had never had before, and the idea of this is that it would be a hub for students, faculty, and staff to cross paths and interact with each other. They have envisioned to draw personal connections from campus and data to help students map out college and life goals, and also in turn place that into a personal plan. They have matched students with student development advisors. Those advisors are going to serve as key contacts within the student's life on campus. So connecting that person to whether it's a resident assistant, whether it's a hall director, whether it's someone in career services, or whether it's to a staff member in financial aid. That person is their key player in the student's life at Midland. This model also will help with early intervention and support for at-risk students or struggling students. They have retention leaders that are meeting regularly to review data and feedback from advisors, and also to help develop a priority list of students for follow-up that may need some extra attention. They also realize that retention is tied to much more than academics. Research shows that students delay graduation or leave universities and colleges often more because of personal challenges versus academic concerns. Midland is hoping that this model is going to help with that and also encourage those more interactions where it's not just an academic model. In regards to housing, Midland acquired a new, or not, it's not necessarily a new, but acquired from the community additional apartment style living areas because they actually ran out of room to accommodate all of these enrollment growth numbers. So they have new apartments called Midland East, where it is a junior and senior housing development for roughly 100 students. They will also have to be seeking out more accommodations for the increases in enrollments and gains in student retentions. Obviously, all of these housing options will have programming components on them, and right now, their current state, they are able to accommodate roughly 700 students. Institutional identity. So I've kind of alluded to this a little bit so far, but in 2010, Midland Lutheran College changed over to Midland University. What the idea was behind this change, and I would say a very significant change within the history, is that they wanted to reduce the stigma of being what I would say is associated with a Lutheran aspect. A lot of students could see that Lutheran and say, well, I'm not Lutheran, so I'm not going to look into that. They also found that the stigma and perception of a college versus a university was pretty large, and so they found that students would respect a university more than a college. So they are really trying to market this new identity to potential students. They're not dropping the Lutheran aspect. They will still have that component of being a private and affiliate of the Evangelical Lutheran Church. But again, not so what I would say in your face for students or potential students that may potentially turn a student off. They also have new colors, so instead of orange and black, it's orange and navy blue. They've also received new athletic logo and icons for the institution. I really wanted to show you a 4-year graduation guarantee. It's on it's on YouTube, but I couldn't get it to work within this presentation. So I again would encourage you, if you'd like to go the extra step, if you just go to YouTube and Google Midland University 4-year graduation guarantee. Basically, they state that you can do 4 steps and you will be graduating in 4 years. So the first one is that first year is to explore your major, have an opportunity to apply to specific programs if necessary. For example, students would have to apply to the nursing program. If students are able to declare their major by the start of their sophomore year, that is one component of the 4-year graduation rate. The second thing is fulfill all the requirements of that major. So each major is sequenced to complete all of the requirements within 4 years, ideally within 3 years if that student changes over to something completely new at the start of their sophomore year. Academic advisors are there obviously to help out to planning requirements, looking at sequence, and then also making adjustments for multiple majors, minors, and also study abroad opportunities, because as a university, they value those outside of the classroom opportunities and want to make sure that that is still an option. The third one is maintaining a typical course load full-time and earning passing grades. Their typical course load is within their contract states from 15 to 18 credits for fall and spring. If a student does not want to take 15 to 18 credits, they can drop down to 12 or 14 credits and then also do a summer or what they call interterm or a J term, where basically for 3 weeks in January, they take one course again for 3 weeks. They also have to have those passing grades, so they use the A through F scale, and then the C minus is the cutoff for a passing grade. And then there are some courses that you can take as pass or no credit if you don't pass them. Lastly is remain in good financial and academic and disciplinary standing within the university. So they require you to obviously have a GPA requirement. Make sure that you have paid off your student accounts, and then also have no serious violation, outstanding violations within the disciplinary structure of the university. So the current data is actually not available on Midlands College, and I will talk about that in just a minute. So I really had to kind of dig deep to find data for Midland University. CollegeStats.org gave Midland the overall graduation rate of 44%, a retention rate of 66%, again the graduation rate of 44%, and then an admittance rate of 54%. I'm going to talk about a few other numbers before I go into some other ideas behind that. The College Factual website started looking at the class of 2004, the entering class of 2004, and kind of looked at their trends over the next 4 to 6 years. So with the class of 2004, only 66% of freshman class was retained. So the average nationally is 71.5%. So the Midland University is actually down just a little bit beyond the national average. The graduation rate is 44.2%, and the average nationally is 36.1%. So the graduation rate is actually higher than the average, but they also do some expectations of graduation rates. So looking at, the institution and the students that it is bringing in and how the students are performing, they would actually expect a graduation rate of 56.9%. So you're looking at kind of a 12% difference there. So this university could actually have better graduation rates. Like, it's setting itself up for better graduation rates, which I find is pretty interesting. So currently there would be a 55.8% that did not graduate. So what happened to those students? Within 6 years, they obviously didn't graduate. 28% of those students transferred to another university. 4% of them are still enrolled, and then there's a 23% dropout rate, which seems a little bit surprising when you're only looking at roughly the class of 2004, the incoming class of 2004 at that time. You're looking at just over 1,100 students total within the university, but I believe that class was right at was one of the larger ones, and over the first 2 years it dropped from like 1,100 total enrolled in the university to 900, and then by the time 2008 hit, I want to say it was right at about 700. And the reason I know those facts is because this was actually my entering class of when I went to Midland University. So I found this information very, very accurate based on my personal perception while going to the university at this time. So some ways for improvement based on what we have learned in this class. I can't say that I wasn't surprised, but the lack of information on tracking on their website is unbelievable. And I'm not saying like tracking, even who's coming in, there was not really anything in regards to tracking of what is your general population besides ACT information. Um, where were you at high school rank? I mean, there was a lot of information that I felt that Midland can do a better job at. And then also tracking those graduation rates, but publishing them. If Midland is above the national average, they should be promoting that. That is a great way to get students to come in and say, hey, we are strong about this 4-year graduation rate and we are going to hold to our word. So I feel like if they take pride in those numbers, which they should, and have the expectation that you're going to keep those 4-year graduation rates, that's something that needs to be out publicly because that gives you more recognition. The freshman retention rates seem to be a bit of an issue. So looking at, I think this intensive advising model will help. Also looking at, how to cater to those financial aid aspects of things. I think Midland can also do a little bit better on understanding why students are transferring out and understanding why people are also dropping out, and really work hard on establishing those connections during their freshman year. In regards to transfer students, there have seen an influx in transfer students over the past 3 years, but I also think that they don't market to transfer students very often. They get a lot of nursing program transfers, so students can take like 2 years, say even at SCC, and then transfer into their nursing program and do a 2-2 program. But I feel like they also, again, are selling themselves short on marketing to, hey, we want you at Midland. We are going to work with you in regards to, your financial aid, and then also marketing towards you on completing your degree in a timely manner as well. The admittance rate of Midland was, I believe, 54%. And to me, if you're looking at growth in numbers, if you're only admitting roughly 54%, taking a look at your standards and making sure that they are compatible with sister institutions, and just really kind of putting the emphasis on, yes, you want the best and the brightest of the students, but also if you are setting yourself up for such great success in your student model that you're doing, you should also be able to admit maybe a little bit more at-risk students and have them be successful. So that would be maybe an area for improvement. Implementation of programs, I touched on this a little bit earlier in regards to the bridge program. So making sure that the implementation of brand new programs are manageable with staff hired, and also that you have buy-in from faculty that are willing to work with those students, but also interest from the student perspective as well. So again, not getting ahead of yourself on looking at the enrollment, but making sure that it is actually feasible for you. Lastly, I wanted to touch on non-traditional students. I am not necessarily shocked by this, but 0.13%, not 13%, but 0.13% of undergraduate enrollment is over the age of 25. So Midland is a very traditional 4-year program. They recently have come out with a Bachelor's of General Studies, so trying to cater again to the more non-traditional student. But I also feel that, again, if you want to have a broader audience, Fremont is a small community. You can get a lot of surrounding little towns involved, and really focusing on non-traditional students. And Midland has revamped their online system, online courses. Distance learning is kind of in the play right now, but also marketing a little bit more to the non-traditional students, because I think that would be a population that could really benefit from this type of education, and also further help completion rates and obviously retention rates as well. So lastly, here's my list of references. Again, that YouTube video, I wish you could all see it, but I could not figure out how to do this. If you, again, go to just YouTube or go to the Midland University website, they have plenty of options how to find it. Just type in for your graduation guarantee, and the president, Benjamin Sass, would be speaking to you about what students feel the initiative is and how he believes that it is going to be helpful to our students. So thank you again for listening, and I hope you've learned a little bit about Midland University and how it has really changed over the past 3 or 4 years, and has really kind of made a new name for them, but also have some strong ways to improve to make the institution even better than it is now. Thank you.